Hi, I'm Greg Black. Welcome. I want to thank you for watching a course that I believe will share with you information that you've never seen before. In fact, I'll go so far to say that I'm going to share with you information that some people don't even want you to know. Let me begin by telling you about me and our firm, TenCap. I've been a financial advisor for about 10 years, and over that time what I've learned is that there is a major disconnect between what people should be doing with their money and what they are actually doing. There are two main reasons for this. The people on Wall Street and the press and media, they're not always out there to help us. In fact, very rarely is their advice helping. Secondly, this is because we are emotional creatures. We can't deny that fact, and oftentimes those emotions work against us as investors. We work with people all over the country, most of them already retired or are about to retire. Chances are that if you're watching this video, you have some common interests with them. For example, most of our clients tell us that they want a retirement that they can enjoy without the fear of running out of money. They would also like to have a sense of confidence with regards to their money. They understand reality. They understand that markets go up and markets go down and there is inflation, but they don't want to stress out about all that. They want a plan that takes these things into consideration. They want a strategy that is well executed, but it doesn't require them to be involved every single day. Most of the people that we meet with have no desire to become day traders. They don't want to watch CNBC or Fox News, and then they don't want to have to worry about if it works out or not, but they also don't want to be inundated with too much financial information. Most importantly, they want accountability. They just came through a period of time with a lot of uncertainty, Ponzi schemes, people that they thought were reputable, destroying people's lives and life savings. When the market crashed in 2008 and 2009, people began to see that they did not have what they thought they did. And so this becomes a bigger and bigger issue. People want to be certain that what they have is great. And in reality, unfortunately, most of the people we meet with do not know that they do what they do not know. Is that you? Chances are that there are things that you should be aware of and you don't even know that they exist. We're going to talk a lot about that as we go through this course. There are some potential problems that everyone who is going to retire has to face. The first one is the market going to crash again? I'll tell you this, I don't have a crystal ball and nobody does, but throughout the history, there have always been times that markets go up and down. The only thing that we know from history is that over time markets do go up. Now, the question is, are these movements predictable or not? We'll share with you some thoughts and insights on just that. Second, there is the issue of inflation, and it has to be planned for. The market could move just as smoothly as it could, and inflation would still be something that you would need to address. One of the things that I'm going to be pointing out in this course quite a bit is that there may be a lot of fees and you may not even be aware of them. I'm going to share with you how to find out and also determine if the fees that you are paying are worth paying. We're also going to discuss that we are humans and that we're all hardwired to avoid pain. And sometimes that survival mechanism to avoid pain at all costs can lead us to make some bad decisions with our investments. We're going to analyze that because when it comes to investing, logic is always going to serve you better than our emotions. Lastly, we're going to talk about some insecurities that people have, especially when we're talking about their retirement nest egg. When you're working, markets can go up and down. And you're not as concerned about that because a regular paycheck is coming in each week. Once you're retired though, the only guaranteed payment that most people have is Social Security. And for most, that is not going to cover it. Therefore, we need to be certain that the rest of the nest egg, the entire thing, is properly structured to give us the income that we need. So, let's give you an overview of the solutions that we're going to be providing in this course. First off, it's important to determine what you know and what you don't know. What are the right questions to ask? Excuse me. What is the information that we need to be successful? I'm going to do that by sharing with you the 20 must-answer questions that we share with every client as we begin to work with them. This will help us learn and overcome some of the major investment myths, things that we've been led to believe are true, which history and academic Nobel Prize-winning research has suggested otherwise. We're also going to assess the cost of your investing. If we can lower your costs, we can increase the returns without any additional risk. So we're going to start out with, and what I want to share with you is a story about some clients of mine. We'll call them Steve and Judy. Steve and Judy have no real plan. So in fact, the way that they describe it to me is that they say, Greg, I have a bunch of stuff, but I don't really know how it all works. By going through our process, we started to discover some things. Here's what we discovered. First, they had way too much risk and they couldn't afford to take that much risk. It could have been a great portfolio if they were in their 30s or 40s. But now as they head into retirement and they're going to start drawing from that account, it was way too volatile. In fact, it could force them to go broke in their lifetime. Secondly, a lot of their investments were buying the same things. They had mutual funds that were buying multiple companies and just a lot of redundancy. Therefore, there wasn't true diversification. And they weren't aware of that. We also noted that 8 out of their 10 mutual funds were actually underperforming what their financial advisor was charging them to outperform. Again, they weren't aware of that. They just thought they were doing what you do. And lastly, we identified that they were being charged fees that were too high. We could see that if we could lower those fees, again, we could increase the rate of return without incurring any additional risk. So the first step of the process is to start by understanding that we don't know what we don't know. And that is where the 20 must-answer questions come in. So now I want to have you answer these 20 must-answer questions. So at the bottom of the screen, you'll be able to download them. Just click on the download homework button right below this video. These questions determine what I like to call the behavior gap. Now, how do our emotions get in the way of and how our emotions get in the way is really going to be the answer to help you determine that. Next, are we aware of the fees that are inside our portfolio? And if not, how do we get that information? How do we fully understand the level of risk that we have? And it all begins by knowing the right questions. Power comes by having the answer to the right question. So, what are these questions? First question is this: do you know your true purpose for money? That which is more important than money itself. And this really comes down to what our core values are. If we don't make decisions with our money that are in line with our core values, we won't have peace of mind with money, no matter how much money we have. Next question. Do you know how to measure risk in your portfolio? It's not enough to just say I'm conservative or aggressive. Relatively speaking, that doesn't give us much information at all. It's really, do you know how much your portfolio could sway one way or the other? How volatile is it? And do you have a system to be able to measure that? Next, do you consistently achieve market rates of return? Listen, if we don't have a measuring stick as to how to measure our success, anything could be good. Next, have you defined your investment philosophy? Now, most people don't even know you could have an investment philosophy. So I wouldn't be surprised if most people answered a no on this one. Listen, we all know when it comes to religion, politics, business, it's extremely important to have a philosophy that coincides with what you believe. Now, when it comes to investing, if you don't have a philosophy, you won't be able to stand up for what you truly want, and you may be sifted about. Do you know what you're doing and why you're doing it? Now, I like to think of going to the grocery store in this example. When I go to the grocery store, for example, what I do is I might put in something that looks good, grab something else, and then at the end of the grocery checkout line, I may have more than I really should have spent. Where my wife, the way she does shopping, she puts it into the cart, she's very deliberate in what she does, knows what she's doing and why she's doing it. When it comes to your investment plan, are you more like me or are you more like my wife? Hopefully, you're more like my wife. Next question. Do you know the 3 warning signs that you are gambling and speculating versus prudently investing your money? This is one that we'll talk a lot about in our second course. Do you know the total amount of commissions and costs inside your portfolio? Very important question. So, adding all these up together, why does it matter? Well, they matter because we're not robots. We are emotional human beings. And if we have a clear understanding about what we know and what we don't know, we're much more likely to develop a plan that will give us peace of mind and that will help us through the volatile times. Now, below the screen, you'll see that there's room for you to ask questions. I really encourage you to ask questions from not only this video, but the rest of them. This video will be viewed by thousands of people across the country who will most likely have the same questions as you. In our next class, we're going to discover what I call the myths of investing. I'm going to blame largely our friends in the financial media, largely because they're funded by Wall Street. We're also going to talk about the number 1 obstacle to investing success. And last, I'm going to share with you how to research your own personal portfolio. Now, this next class is the most important class in the course, so please watch it very carefully and be sure to post any comments or questions that you have so I can personally answer those for you. Until then, I want to thank you, and I'll look forward to talking to you in the future.